Welcome to the Daily Insider here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers. Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. And we'll look back at the Patriots win over the Bills last night. New England stays on fire. Belichick does it again. Alex Smart, handicapper, Vegas Insider. He will join us coming up in just a few moments. And we got a little bit of NBA to discuss tonight. 3 games, including Celtics-Lakers, the late-night game at Staples Center. And we'll hit on that coming up in just a little bit. First, what I'd say about BetMGM, they are the king of sports books, and we tell you all about them on the Daily Insider. If you're a new player, bet $10 to win $200 if your team scores a touchdown. That's right. Bet on any NFL money line, and if your team scores a touchdown, you'll receive an additional $200 in free bets. Again, for new players only, must be 21 years or older to play. And legal in the following states: Arizona, New Jersey, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, West Virginia, Iowa, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C. only. Full terms and conditions apply. That is BetMGM. They are the king of sports books. All right, let's bring on Alex Smart. And Alex is the leader of college basketball right now. So he's got that going for him. He's had a great NFL season as well. And Alex, good to see you again. And last night, Patriots beat the Bills 14-10. Belichick does it again. 7 straight wins, 7 straight covers. Win doesn't matter. Mac Jones doesn't throw the ball, doesn't matter. They still do it again.
That's the one game from this entire weekend that stood out to me. Belichick is the man. I mean, I've always said he's currently the best coach in football, anywhere in this world. And he's proving it. I mean, this defense he put together after last year's really subpar performance, just it spells it out. And on the flip side, Buffalo, a team that we all looked at earlier on this season as a possible Super Bowl contender, starting to wonder now. So here we are. Things are starting to turn around at probably the most important time of the year for everyone to see. And let's see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and Mac Jones throws the ball 3 times, and New England still wins. They have that game plan. How surprised are you that New England was so successful with that? And basically not trusting Mac Jones, but more about, all right, the wind's bad here. We saw that close field goal miss that Buffalo had. Let's just stay on the ground until they stop us, and they didn't stop them.
Yeah, it was I guess it was one of those famous Buffalo December games. And I think when we handicap this prior to this, if you did handicap that game, you have to take these things into consideration. And, Belichick handicaps sort of from that perspective. And I mean, like I said, I'm just lights out, always like amazed by this guy. So, yeah, amazing game plan. And was it planned? Possibly.
Yeah, and New England right now, top team in the AFC. Of course, we saw that coming. I mean, like everyone saw that come before the season. Alex, from this past weekend in the NFL, Week 13, what stuck out to you as far as things that you that kind of caught your eye from a betting perspective?
Well, Washington's defense has upped their game over the last 4 or 5 games, and they're a team we have to keep our eyes on now. The Vikings. I'm pretty disappointed in them overall. I really, when you go into Detroit and you lose like that, that's an embarrassment in my opinion, and a sort of a downer for the team going forward from here.
Yeah, and you know what, too, Alex, when you look at this Vikings team, now you got to turn around. You get Pittsburgh coming up on Thursday night. The Steelers are off this big win over the Ravens. And now Pittsburgh makes the trip to Minnesota. The Vikings are a short favorite in this one. And Dalvin Cook's hurt. Adam Thielen, we'll see what his status is for Thursday as well. Kirk Cousins under the lights, we know, has not been good. Right now, initial lean on Minnesota after this bad loss to Detroit, on Pittsburgh. What are you thinking there?
I'm thinking it's about the line with me. And possibly at 3.5, it's a good bet for the Steelers. And anything under 3 is a good bet on the Vikings. The Vikings need this game like you would not believe. I mean, just to get their mind straight, as a team. And this is a very important time of year. And no matter what the playoff implications are, this is a key game. Yeah. So it's about the line here for me, at least.
Yeah, and Minnesota, I don't know who I'm getting every week with Minnesota. That's the problem, is that they've won at the Chargers. They've had some good victories, but also they lost late to Baltimore. They lost late to Arizona. I mean, this is a team that's 5-7. Some things go their way. San Francisco, they had a shot to tie it. Cousins lines up behind the guard at the end. I mean, Minnesota, we know, is better than what they are, but also Pittsburgh, they've had their share of games that have slipped away. So that should be interesting coming up this Thursday. Meanwhile, on Sunday, a couple of the key games, obviously Buffalo going to Tampa to take on the Bucks. And we know Brady's had a lot of success against the Bills. Any thoughts there as far as now Buffalo, the turnaround, going down to Tampa Bay, and this Buccaneers team, they're rolling right now at 9-3. They've been great at home.
Yeah, this is if you're a championship team like Tampa Bay is, this is where all the donuts get made, and this is a very big game. Now, Buffalo can, even if they don't win this game, if they can make themselves at least feel, for me, at this time of the season, it's all about chemistry and it's all about momentum going into the playoffs. And if you've got those things going for you, depending on the line, of course, I mean, you're a team to really keep an eye on. And I was big on Buffalo from the very beginning. Don't get me wrong, but right now I'm starting to wonder, and I'm wondering if it's something going on in the locker room, something going on with the coaches on the sidelines. I'm not really sure, but there are mistakes being made, and they're being made consistently now. So that's worrisome.
And also Buffalo too. I believe it's 7 straight games they've gone win-loss, win-loss. They win a game, they just can't capitalize, but also off a loss, they played better. So now we'll see against Tampa Bay. Another game I wanted your opinion on too was Dallas and Washington. Big game inside the NFC East, where you mentioned the football team a few minutes ago, their win over the Raiders. They're 6-6. They got Dallas twice. They still haven't played them yet. So you got an opportunity, Alex, to maybe sneak in, be down a game if you could beat Dallas this week at home. Cowboys were off that big win over the Saints last Thursday night. Again, the Saints are a broken down team at this point. But Dallas right now laying 3.5, 4 on the road at DC.
And there we are. And, you like I said, that Washington defense, there's an old saying, and we know what it is. Defense wins championships. Defense wins big games, But the way I look at this game, honestly, like I'm really amored by the football team. But there is a problem here. And that problem is 4 straight grueling games that are exhausting. They look exhausting. And I don't know where they're going to be at here this week, and the lines makers maybe are taking that into consideration. I'm not sure.
I want to look at one NBA game with you, Alex, tonight. We have 3 games, kind of a slow night in the NBA, but the old rivals going at it, Celtics and Lakers. They're meeting up late night at Staples Center on TNT, and Celtics beat the Lakers last time they met. That was LeBron's first game back from injury. Boston ran him out at TD Garden. Celtics coming off a big win over the Blazers last time out. The Lakers, this discussion has been going on all season. When are you going to find consistency? LeBron, he's been out at times. He's back. Anthony Davis dinged up at times. They have all the veterans. But the Lakers laying 2.5 here against the Celtics in this matchup. Lakers looking to bounce back after they just lost to the Clippers.
Well, the Lakers have proved themselves very aggressive offensively, aggressive in pace, second in the league. And they're going to come at Boston tonight. Like they come after everybody lately. But, Boston's really been shooting the ball well. I mean, close to 55% last time out. And, they've covered 5 straight times. So, from a historical standpoint, at least, we see Los Angeles has not done all that well against Boston. And Boston is more than capable. They're inconsistent, but more than capable here of staying close this evening. I don't have any skin in on this tonight, but I'm kind of leaning towards Boston.
Yeah, in Boston, they so far they put up a ton of points in their first 2 games of this road trip at Utah, and then at Portland, Damian Lillard's out, but they dropped 144, whatever it was, against the Blazers back 2 nights ago. Anything stick out to you? I know you're doing great in college basketball. Anything you're looking at tonight?
Yeah, it's one of those nights where I had some difficulties trying to find some positive lines, because everything with me is about being able to get the best number I possibly can, and it's probably going to be a short night for me, 2 or 3 plays maximum, and anything other than that, I can't really. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go around here in circles. I really can't see anything like that really excites me tonight. We'll put it that way.
Well, I'll give you credit on one thing, Alex, that you did have Mercer last night against Coastal Carolina. That was a really good look, and that line dropped. Coastal Carolina open laying 4, dropped to 2.5. And I saw Mercer was up most of that game. Coastal Carolina came back and took the lead, but then Mercer ended up winning. But that was a really good look by you last night.
Yeah, no, thank you. I wanted to congratulate you about something, too. I saw that you were on a 10-game winning streak in the NBA.
I was. I lost with the Pelicans on Sunday, but yes.
Yeah, way to roll. Way to roll.
Thank you. And you know what, too, and I appreciate that. It's really frustrating when I looked at that and I said, all right, the Pelicans are laying points on Sunday against the Rockets, who are playing really well. Thinking, all right, the Pelicans here, they're coming off a win. They just couldn't get anything going. They were down that whole game, and I'm thinking, my God, like, this is your shot here in Houston. I mean, it's like, did Elijah want to come back? I mean, what are they? I mean, what is this Rockets team doing?
Yeah,
they're on fire.
It's amazing. The NBA, like, I'm a perennial slow starter in the NBA, but I will tell you one thing: I'm being shocked night after night after night lately, and not necessarily about what my selections do, but just what the league is doing. And we've got to monitor this closely because there's some really interesting stuff going on. Houston is one of them.
Yeah, Houston. I mean, they started season 1-16 where they've won 5 or 6 straight. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're. And Jalen Green, their top pick, is not even playing right now. He's hurt. But Alex Smart, you could catch him on Vegas Insider. He's number 1 in college basketball. He is 3rd in the NFL. He's having a great season in both those sports. He handicaps everything. Check him out at Vegas Insider. And Alex, thank you so much for hopping on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, Kevin, it's always great. Thank you.
All right, there is Alex Smart. And, I had that 10-game winning streak in the NBA, and I had New Orleans on Sunday, and they just were behind that whole game against Houston. They just couldn't get over the hump, which was tough. And the Pelicans, I expect a little bit more out of them. But did go 2-0 last night, had the over in the Wizards-Pacers game. Slow start in the first. Here's one thing I want to say about that. Washington and Indiana had some crazy games last year, and I understand the whole you can only go back so far. I think last year is a good enough measuring stick. You want to go back 5 years, that's too long. Last year is not crazy. But the Wizards and Pacers had 4 games. Washington won them all last year. High-scoring games, totals in the 240s. I think one reached 250, 130, 120-something. Crazy numbers. This year, the first game they played went to overtime. Wizards beat the Pacers. Again, flew over the total. Last night's total was at 211. And I'm thinking, all right, you had all these 230s, 240s, even a 250. You're 211. I didn't have enough faith in Indiana laying 5.5. They won the game by 6. They were up double digits for a lot of that game. But I'm going to take the over. First quarter, 28-18. So you had 46. You needed what? 54 a quarter, 46. All right, probably a loser. 59 in the second, 61 in the third, 60 in the fourth. Winner. And Indiana won 116-110 over Washington. The Wizards now 4-0 to the over with no rest because they lost at Toronto the night before. So that was a winner. And the other one got a little fortunate with the news late in the day. This is where it's hard sometimes to handicap with the COVID stuff. I had the under in Nuggets Bulls last night, and that jumped from 214 to 217. I had the under. Then the news came out that DeMar DeRozan was placed in the COVID protocol, so he was out. Chicago's top player. Line dropped to 213.5, 214. Still finished under 109.97, pretty much a never in doubt. You had 45 in the first, 50 in the second. Second half, little better numbers as far. Well, I mean, you had a 53 and then a 58 in the fourth quarter, but there's enough wiggle room there where it was okay. But that one stayed under. Denver had some good under numbers on the road this year. Chicago, with some high totals, had some good under numbers as well. So hit those two. So now we're at 12-1 in the NBA the last 13. So that's good. And we got to play tonight in the NBA as well. Short card, we're going to go over it in just one moment. But before we get to the NBA, I want to tell you about DraftKings. The championship series continues. The GOAT. You want to be him? You want to wear that crown? Hey, he wears it well. And the DraftKings Championship Series is the ultimate competition of contest winners from daily fantasy sports, sportsbook, and casino, the one and only place you can compete in the king of competitions. The best of the best in each domain will compete for series supremacy in their own domain's tournament of champions. They'll have one goal in mind: win the ultimate crown and earn the title of the greatest of all time, the GOAT. That's right. Our friend, he's the GOAT. He wears the crown. Can you be that GOAT? Check out DraftKings.com for more details regarding the Tournament of Champions and their championship series. All right, let's look at the few NBA games tonight. And you got some decent college games as well. But first, let's start with the Nets and the Mavericks. They meet in Dallas, and Luka Doncic, he's still a question mark for tonight's game. He has an ankle injury he's dealing with. But when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, 16-7. What's funny about Brooklyn is it almost feels like they've flown under the radar because of what Milwaukee has played a lot better. And I mean, really the East, the standings in the East, Brooklyn right now has the top record. The Southeast, you got about 4 teams kind of similar records besides Orlando. And you have Chicago up there, who's had a really good season. Celtics have been slow. Sixers have had a slow start, but that also has to do with Embiid was out for a bit, and Ben Simmons still isn't playing. But Brooklyn at 16-7 has been impressive without Kyrie. He continues to be out with the COVID stuff, or not, just not playing. So Brooklyn is 0-4 against the spread their last 4 games. They are 1-6 ATS their last 7 games. The only cover coming at Boston as a short underdog. But as a favorite, Brooklyn is 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games. So that's a pretty interesting number there for the Nets and Kevin Durant and James Harden. Dallas, meanwhile, they've lost 4 or 5. And the last 2 home losses, 107-91 in New Orleans, 97-90 to Memphis. That line swung because Luka didn't play, Porzingis didn't play. And no disrespect, Cuban, but there's not a lot else there when those guys aren't playing. So Dallas, who has been extremely up and down this season, they started slow, went on a run in Jason Kidd's first season as head coach. But in their last 9 games, they're just 2-7. One of the wins coming in overtime, another one coming at New Orleans. So Dallas has not been very impressive, and we'll see if Luka plays tonight. And the Mavericks, they are an underdog at home. Meanwhile, Knicks and the Spurs, they hook up in San Antonio. And New York has gone backwards of late. And this Knicks team, 11-12. San Antonio, 8-14. San Antonio's actually played a little bit better, but the Knicks have fallen on hard times. 3 straight losses, twice at home, the last 2 to Chicago and Denver. 119-115 to the Bulls last week. 113-99 Saturday afternoon to the Nuggets at the Garden. New York has been, I don't want to say better on the road, but 6-4 on the road compared to 5-8 at the Garden. San Antonio's 8-14. They're 4-6 at home. San Antonio coming off of a pretty good road trip. You got to give them credit on this one, that they lost to Phoenix last night, 108-104. Pop's team has covered 5 straight. They had won 4 straight, beating the Celtics, Wizards, Blazers, I know no Lillard, and winning at Golden State on Saturday before losing to Phoenix, who had been on fire. That's still a pretty good job considering San Antonio was not playing well. Now, I want to talk about the game from a few nights ago on Saturday against Golden State, in case you missed it. So San Antonio won 112-107. The total closed at 219, so it hit the total. Fine. But here's one thing you don't know in case you missed the game. 36-21 after the first. 57 in the first. 68 in the second, 62 in the third. You're in cruise control. You need 33 points in the fourth quarter. You got 32. Golden State outscored San Antonio 19-13 in the fourth quarter. And also, San Antonio had 4 points with about 2 or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And also in that game, Stephen Curry, he had 27 for the Warriors. Don't be fooled. Was 7 of 28 from the floor and 5 of 17 from three. So he did not shoot the ball well at all. But Golden State also missed 7 free throws. That game, if you had the over, that's a tough loss for you. Very, very tough loss. But San Antonio has been better, and the Knicks, you're getting them as a short favorite on the road. They've been up and down a little bit. They've had a couple wins as a road favorite at New Orleans, at Orlando. I think San Antonio's a little better than those teams. But the Spurs at least have been a good covering machine of late, and the Knicks have not. So that's the issue with them. The Celtics and Lakers, we talked about with Alex Smart, and LA a short favorite here against Boston. Lakers 12-12, Boston 13-11. These teams, these old rivals, they just can't find the consistency. The Lakers, I don't think, as long as I'm not mistaken, I just want to double check this. 3. Their longest winning streak is 3 this year, the Lakers. And that was against Cleveland and 2 against Houston. And Cleveland's been a lot better. But they just haven't sustained any kind of winning streak. Also, they haven't had a really long losing streak. 3 in a row is their longest one. But the losses came to Chicago and Milwaukee without LeBron. And at Boston, that was when LeBron came back. And with LeBron back, because he got suspended for that Knicks game after the thing with in the Pistons game, 1-1, 2-2, 4-3 since he came back. They're not really covering. They lost to the Clippers the other night. It's just been a tough stretch for this Laker team. And then when you look at Boston, they dropped 145 on Portland back 2 nights ago. They scored 130 at Utah, give up 137. They've won 3 of 4, playing a little bit better, and they got off to that tough start. But Boston 7-7 on the road. I mean, both these teams are just so stuck in the middle, just waiting to bust out. And that's the situation with those two. Total of 220.5. Last time they played was 213, so now it's up to 220. Last night in the NBA, I found this one game interesting just because and I know it wasn't a great game as far as just the team names, but when you look at Oklahoma City and Detroit, Pistons closed as a 3-point favorite. Last time Oklahoma City played was that 73-point loss to Memphis. Throw out analytics, throw out all that stuff. You had to figure, all right, I know we're playing hindsight 2020. You had to figure that Oklahoma City, after losing a game by an NBA record 73 points, was going to play better the next game. And, of course, they draw a team in Detroit who's one of the worst in the league. And the Pistons should be favored. I mean, somebody's got to be the favorite in the game. But Oklahoma City was down 11 late in the third. They ended up outscoring Detroit 42-22 in the fourth. And the Thunder beat the Pistons 114-103. That's a great job by the Thunder. And understandably, they're a team that's not going to go to the playoffs. But I saw a stat, that's the 5th win they have this year, coming from 15 points down or more. That's a good job. And, yes, they have an embarrassing loss to Memphis, a historic loss to Memphis. But this is a long season. You got to try to win some of these games. I will give the Charlotte Hornets credit because they lost to Philadelphia 127-124 in overtime. And they've covered now the last 2 as a dog without LaMelo Ball and without Terry Rozier in the lineup because they're both in the COVID protocol. Kelly Oubre had a great night last night, 35 points. But Joel Embiid had a better night because he scored 43. And now you see Philadelphia's a little better team with Joel Embiid, right? They won 127-124. Hornets covered, easy over. I think the Heat are in trouble because Bam Adebayo is hurt. Jimmy Butler got banged up again last night. Memphis has played well without Ja Morant. I'll give him credit there. 105-90 win over the Heat. Morant's out, and they're playing very well. Bucks held off the Cavs 112-104. Milwaukee didn't cover that game, laying 8.5. Another cover for Cleveland. Atlanta, that's a good win at Minnesota by 11. Mentioned Phoenix over San Antonio. Spurs covered again. Golden State blew out Orlando 126-95, and the Clippers knocked off the Blazers 102-90. So they're done for the regular season. They played all 4 games. And Damian Lillard's still out for Portland, so that's not really helping their cause. Now, as far as the college basketball tonight, Texas Tech and Tennessee, they meet up at Madison Square Garden at 7 o'clock. And you're having this SEC Big 12 showdown, whatever, challenge, whatever you want to call it. Tennessee is laying 4 against Texas Tech, both teams at 6-1. Also in that challenge, Butler and Oklahoma, Sooners laying 10.5 at home to the Bulldogs. Villanova, Syracuse, not part of the challenge, but they're playing at the Garden, 2 old Big East rivals. Villanova laying 8.5 in that one. And those are some of the main matchups tonight in college basketball. And then tomorrow, that challenge continues. The SEC, the Big 12 Big East challenge. Actually, no. Let me rephrase myself. I apologize there for a second. I got a little confused. Texas Tech, Tennessee is not part of that. I don't know why I said that. Texas Tech, Tennessee is not part of it. They're just playing in New York. Butler, Oklahoma is one of the games. And then tomorrow, as far as some of the other ones go in that challenge, Marquette and Kansas State, they play. They're just kind of stretching this thing out a little bit. But also you have some Big Ten games tomorrow as well. Michigan State and Minnesota, Indiana, Wisconsin. You have Michigan, Nebraska tonight inside the Big Ten. So that thing's going to stretch out for a few days. But they always have these challenges. I don't know. They just throw them out there out of nowhere. All right, before we get out of here, BetMGM, you know they're the king of sports books. Bet $10 to win $200 if your team scores a touchdown. That's right. Bet on any NFL money line, and if your team scores a touchdown, you'll receive an additional $200 in free bets. New players only, must be 21 years or older to play, and it is eligible in the following states: Arizona, New Jersey, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, West Virginia, Iowa, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. only. Full terms and conditions apply. That is BetMGM. They are the king of sports books. All right, Mike, thanks to Alex Smart for hopping on. And you can check out Alex's picks at Vegas Insider. He has had a great year in college basketball, number 1. He's number 3 in the NFL. And he'll have more picks coming out this week for the NFL and every day with college and the NBA as well. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for tuning into this edition of the Daily Insider. And we will talk to you again tomorrow at noon Eastern. And as always, best of luck with your bets.